Hey guys, it's Kate and I hope you're having a fantastic day today. So I'm going to do a bit of an abstract watercolor. Boy, everything's rolling around my table today. I'm going to do an abstract watercolor using some wax resist and also some salt. And unusually, I've got my paper taped down today, so I'm experimenting more with that 5S paper that I had reviewed in another video. And I'm also working with my Meliang palette. How do you say that? Can somebody tell me in the comments below? Anyway, I'm going to start off with some mark making with this wax resist stick. So this is a clear wax, and the watercolor, whatever I put down on this paper, will not cover this up, and you'll be able to see the white background. So I'm going to make some marks, and you're not going to be able to see it until I start painting. But I'm going to do, I don't know, some just interesting little marks. And I'm kind of going almost intuitively because I can't really see what I'm doing, which makes it kind of interesting, I guess. So we'll see. I'm trying to sort of remember where I put my marks, but I am just sort of going with the flow. And I'm making some circles here. And I don't want to make too many marks because I might want to do some layering here. So I may add some more once we get some paint down. So I think that'll be good. I think I made a few little leaf sprigs and I also drew some circles. So I've got my jar of water and I'm actually gonna go and do kind of a nice springy palette. I'm thinking of some maybe yellows and oranges and pinks, and we'll see what happens after that. So I'm gonna mix some of that color in my tray, and I'm gonna start off just kind of adding some of that, and I'm gonna put plenty of moisture on my paper, and I'm gonna almost go in some strips. I'm going to drop in some of that color here in these spots that I've kind of pre-wet, and I'm going across my paper, and I'm going to add some more here and kind of meet it up in the center. And I'm using plenty of water with my paint, and I want to start off light and work my way a little bit darker. And I think that's a pretty good first layer. I'm going to add some orange here and maybe do a little bit of that kind of along the lines here. And I'm going to add some water to this too, just to help it along with blending. And I might add some more of that orange down here, and I've got a nice wet brush and just keeping this area moist. And how about we put some right in here, just like that. And I'm not being shy with the water. I want this plenty wet, and I can always blot later. All right, I think I like this so far. Now, how about maybe a nice pink color? I've got this madder red here, and I'm going to dilute it quite a bit with extra water to make it nice and faded. And we'll see how this looks. Yeah, that's perfect. And I'm just going to keep getting this on my paper. Just like that. And I might mix a little bit off here to the side where we can kind of drop in maybe just a little touch of that here and there in a bit of a heavier fashion. And I'm gonna come in here and just keep blending away, and I'll let this mix some with that yellow, and I think these colors look really beautiful. And I'm just slowly building up my color here. We might do another layer, not sure. And I'm letting some of even that background of the paper come through, but I want to get mostly good coverage here. Now I've got kind of a rough edge here, so I'm just gonna use my brush and kind of soften that up a bit. Now I may get some cauliflowering here because I am being very, very liberal with the water, but that's okay. And I might go into this a little bit and add some of that orange for the corner here. Just like that. And just let this blend in. And then same thing over here. This looks great. Okay, I'm just gonna soften up a little bit of this and just add some of that color along the edges. Make sure I've got good coverage for the most part. And I'm just kind of going over and just checking on everything, make sure it's good. Okay. I really think that looks really good. So I'm going to let this dry. Let me see. I want to add salt, but I may be a little moist for that. Let me see. Let's go for it. I might get a few larger spots than I intend, but that might be okay. Let's see. Let's go down this way a little with just a few grains and maybe right up here. Just like that. I don't want to get too over the top with the salt. So I have a light little trail here, here, and right there. So I'm going to let this dry completely and we will be right back. Okay, we are completely dry and I think this dried really beautifully. I have brushed my salt off already and I guess I didn't push hard enough on this because you can only see a couple little spots instead of what I actually drew. So there's some hints of white highlights in here that are kind of pretty, but they don't actually look like anything because they're too broken up. So I'm going to be putting on a second layer of watercolor, but I'm going to use this crayon again so that we can keep some of those really nice light colors in here. And I'm going to press a bit harder since we're kind of experimenting here. So I'm going to go over where I had some of my marks before, but I'm pressing down much harder this time. And then hopefully this will leave a good mark. And this is very abstract, so I don't really expect that we're going to have a bunch of stuff going on here, but I want some of this lightness to come through. And I might even go around a couple of times on some of these marks and really get them to fill up this page a bit. And I also love how that salt dried on here. I think that looks really gorgeous. Okay, we've got plenty of marks down now, I think. So let's go in with another layer of color. And I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to add all of that color yet. So I've got some marks kind of all over the place. So we'll see. I definitely want to deepen up these pink red areas. So I'm going to start there. and we should see some of that illustration coming through. And I'm going to keep my edges pretty soft where I can. And you can definitely see that mark starting to appear. I definitely did a lot better just making that really shine. Okay. Let me add a little bit more red in here maybe. And then I'm going to blot my brush and drag it along here to soften that a bit. Just like that. And I love these multi-layers. This is really pretty. I don't want to cover all of the red, so I'm just going to let this kind of come over, but I love seeing these little marks peek through here and there. You can see my circles coming out now. Most definitely. And I like some of these sort of hard edges there with that brightness. It's pretty. Let me reach in and get some more color here and just deepen this up a bit. And then I'm going to blot my brush and drag some of this out again. I'm going to keep some hard and some soft edges. And I like how some of this is sort of cloudy, but then, I don't know, I really love how this looks up there. So I'm going to just keep adding slowly. That background sort of golden color coming through is really gorgeous. I'm going to drop in some of this orange here as well, and we'll just kind of let that do its thing and bloom a bit. This layering is fabulous. You ever get really excited about a project? Because I am right now. And this sort of light coming through is wonderful. I'm going to keep this corner here and sort of brush blend that, scrub it into that red. I may get a little bit of cauliflower, but surprisingly, this paper has not really cauliflowered a lot. It has, you definitely see where you have that backflow or backwash, and you can kind of see it, but the blending's really soft, so it's actually kind of nice, a little unexpected. So I don't know, this paper is kind of fun to play with. So I'm just kind of blotting out some of this with my damp brush to take back some of that paint that I had put down, because I do want to keep that bright area. So I may sweep back a little bit more also. Just like that. Okay, now some of my salt kind of disappeared, so I'm going to put on a few more grains here while I'm still damp. And some of my paper has already started to dry. This paper does dry pretty quickly. And I'm just going to scatter a few pieces around here like we did before. And I'm going to let this dry completely now as well. And we'll see what we get at the end. Okay, I'm back and we are pretty much dry. And I have gently brushed the salt off my paper. I'm going to do one final layer because honestly, I don't think I really want to do any doodles on this, but I do want to add some deeper, darker values. So I'm going to go in with a pretty full strength red here. I'm going back into the Matter Red from the palette, which is the same one that we have used already. And I'm going to go around some of these natural curves here, and you can see that beautiful texture from the wax resist. But I'm going to come in here and just drag out some of this color along some of those natural edges, just like this. I'm going to blot pretty often, and I'm going to come in just where it feels like it should be emphasized. And so I'm going around some of these circle marks actually where we have the wax resist, and I'm going to kind of embrace those shapes. And I'm just blotting my brush well and letting it kind of do its thing. And then maybe some right here, just like this. And I switched to a smaller brush. This one is actually my number 4 round. And so I wanted to get a little bit more detailed. So I grabbed just a smaller brush, and I'm just going around and enhancing some of these areas. And I'm just kind of going slowly, making sure that I dip and drag out, because I want some soft edges combined with harder edges. And it's all going to be kind of pointing toward these bright golden areas. I really love how you have that sort of glowy look from the background. I think that's really gorgeous. And you can see where I had some of these little leaf doodles that I put in, and you can't really tell what they are. It's just kind of an interesting pattern, and so I'm going to kind of highlight that a bit as well. And so I'm just going around and letting this stay pretty cloudy. And I want to keep that area nice and bright. And so I'm just kind of blotting back into where I dropped my paint. You might hear Scampy in the background a little bit. She is sitting at a window and she sees some birds outside. So she really wants to go out, but she's just an inside cat. But she's always so active this time of day. I'm going to let some of these areas have harder edges, I think. We'll see. I can always scrub and blot. And maybe I'll go over it just a little bit with some water. But it kind of highlights where some of that overlap was going on with the wax. And I really like that kind of little organic pattern that sort of came out of that. And you can't see, but I am blotting a lot off to the side. Basically every time my hand leaves the frame. And I kind of like this just sort of organic pattern that has shaped up. So I think that's all the work I'm going to do at the bottom, but I'm going to do just a little bit of extra work here at the top. And I'm going to start here because I like that shape. And I'm blotting well, and I'm I'm going to drag this out too. Just like that. And maybe a little bit over here. Almost like we've got some heavenly clouds. And you can see, once I do my close-up in a bit, you can see the sort of faint outlines of some of the other circles, and they're just so pretty. I love how they look. And again, just dragging out that color. And that looks like I've got some other marks back here, some circle shapes, and so kind of just going with it. And I might highlight a couple of these also. Just like this. All right. Now I think I might add just a little bit of orange down here in some of these bright spots. So I'm just going to come in with my brush and kind of pop those into where I had my salt marks. Just like that. And maybe just a little bit more down here. I feel like that bottom left corner got a little bit of the short end of the stick when it came to pigment. So I'm going to enhance that a little bit too. And maybe just a little bit through here. And again, I'm blotting very well. And these ones I might just leave a little bit harder. And I'm just going to do it in a few spots. And kind of tie everything together a little bit. And I love that. Maybe just a little tiny bit over here. We actually have another circle shape. What do we think? I happen to love it. All right, let's get our tape off, shall we? It's so exciting to see it be unveiled. Now we still have some damp parts of this, but the majority of this is dry, except where I added those extra darker values. So this is pretty much how it's going to look once it's completely dry. And this paper has been pretty fun to work with, but let me give you the official close-up. And you can see all those wonderful textures that we have on the paper. You can see the marks from the wax. You can also see these little marks from where we had our salt. but we painted over some of those areas, and I really like how it kind of blends, and you can even still see some of that texture coming through where we added that second layer. But I just really love how this turned out. It's so pretty. And I hope that you use these combinations together too in your own artwork and just have some fun and experiment. You never know what you're going to get at the end. And this is something I would say I'm pretty proud to post. So if you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And until next time, keep creating and have a wonderful day.